Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Man Cave, and progress has been made. Not that great of progress, but we made progress. So I'll tell you all about that. There's a lot of new stuff going on here, just all kinds of stuff to get caught up on. First thing, little housekeeping there. We will be doing another lesson this evening on the mandolin. It'll be chord pattern number 2. Finally getting to that. It just seemed like things got in the way here after we went through that last lesson. Everybody seemed to really enjoy that one, where we went through the same pattern over and over with a bunch of different songs. Well, that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to do the chord pattern number 2. Now, when I say chord pattern, that just means that the chords move in a certain pattern. They're all in the same relative place from one another. Not to be confused with a chord pattern of a song. A song can have its own chord pattern, and not to be confused with the actual shape of the chord. There's 2 different chord patterns on the mandolin. We did pattern number 1 on the last lesson. This will be pattern number 2. And I only call them 1 and 2 because I have to have some way of differentiating them. Neither one of them is more important than the other. They're both basically the same, just different. Same but different. Progress was made, real good progress was made on the Gloofy laser cutter. They wrote back to me and said, we think it's just a connection problem. You need to check all those connections. So I did that again, actually for the 3rd time. When I first got the Gloofy laser cutter and plugged it in, I thought, well, I'm doing everything right and it's not working, And I'm thinking, why is it not working? Well, so just on my own, I thought, well, let me just check all the plugins. So I plugged them all in, turned it back on, starts working, no problem. So obviously it was a plug-in problem. Well, then I cut a couple of projects and did a few things and tried to make the video and just wasn't happy with everything. But somewhere in the middle there, it quit working again. And I'm going, what the heck happened here? But it quit under different circumstances. It was beeping at me like there was smoke or something, smoke alarms type thing, and it just kept giving me trouble, and it just kept degrading, if you will, and finally it quit working. Well, I couldn't figure it out. I went through and tried the connections again, still didn't fix nothing. But when they wrote back to me yesterday, they said, we think it's a connection problem. So sure enough, I went through, plugged them all back in, and sure enough, it started working again yesterday. So to me, that's a design problem. They've got really wimpy connectors, and they need to fix that. And I'll be pointing that out in the review. Whether they'll let me release the review or not, I don't know, because it's not a bad review. It's just that it points out that there's a weakness there. And it just, sorry, there is. You're going to have to fix it. So anyway, that should be coming out before too long. I think I've got the video finished now, finally. Oh, that was a pain. That was really a pain. Got another new product in yesterday that, I kind of knew it was coming. I told them, I said, if you send it, I'll do it. And I didn't hear any more out of them, and they sent it. So here it is. Let me show you this. You're not going to believe this. See how little that is? Another welder. Now this one is different than the Art Captain in that it just does stick welding only. You can't do wire feed welding with this one. But as a stick welder goes, this thing's pretty darn cool. It's really pretty cool. I like it. I used it yesterday. It's called McPow, MECPOW. It's a 120 welder. And, I welded this with it yesterday. This had broken in half right across here. And it welded it up just fine, good and solid. This was a part off of JR's hay bind that broke. He bought a new piece, and this was just laying in the shop. And I thought, well, what the heck, I'll weld it back up. So I used the McPow welder yesterday and did that. Now, What I haven't done is compare prices on them yet. I don't know how the McPow is priced compared to the Arc Captain. But if you only need a stick welder and you're on a tight budget, I'm assuming that McPow will be cheaper. It seems like it works pretty darn good to me. So that video will be coming out before too long also. And I got yet another thing to review. Again, it was just same kind of deal. I said, well, if you send it, I'll review it. Well, sure enough, it showed up yesterday also. This one's kind of cool for me. It's another metal detector. Now, this one is it's called a Green Rex. Greenrex. This is only $60 metal detector, $159.95, I think. And, for that price point, I don't expect very much. But I've had two cheap metal detectors before. One of them I bought for Isaac's birthday a few years back and gave it to him. He never uses it, ever. But quite honestly, I don't think it's a very good one. I didn't like it very much. I bought it at Harbor Freight, to be honest with you, and I didn't really care for it. It was a cheap one, and I just got it and gave it to him. You know, what the heck? He could play with it if he wanted to. He never did use it, I don't think. I had bought another one a long time ago when I was a kid. I had a cheap one, and I found aluminum arrows with it, and it worked okay, but it was kind of a cheap piece of junk, really. For $160, and some of you won't think that's cheap. I mean, $160 is cheap for a metal detector. This one's pretty good. I'm kind of impressed how good it is. I used it. I didn't use it very long. I used it, maybe 30 minutes or so last night. And all I did was walk around in the yard here close to the house where I'd already found everything for the most part with my good metal detectors. And, I thought, well, it'll be embarrassing if I find something good with this thing. I didn't find anything good with it, but it found a lot of stuff, and it seems to be pretty darn sensitive. It seems to pick up stuff really good. I mean, there's tons of stuff in the ground around here. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's all kinds of nails and wire and just, metal, just all kinds. I mean, you would not believe how much is in the ground. It would freak your mind out if you saw how many things are in the ground around here. So I'm pretty picky on what I dig up, and I dug up three things with it. One of them was just a bent nail. One of them was some kind of a buckle, a steel buckle. It was kind of a shiny metal buckle, like it was nickel-plated or something. And the other one, I think, was just a bottle cap. So I didn't expect to find anything good, and I didn't. But it works darn good for $160. I mean, I don't think it's going to get the depth and the discrimination, like being able to really pick targets out as well as I can with my expensive metal detectors. But again, for $160, I'll bet you could find a gold coin with this one just as easy as you could find a gold coin with a $1,000 metal detector. So, just telling you, it's not bad, and there'll be a video coming out on that before long. I have not made the video on that yet, but I will be making one. And for the price point, golly, I got to say, I like it. I really do for the price point. Compared to the other ones I had, I don't like them at all. This one I like a lot. I kind of knew that before they sent it because I had looked at the review. I had looked at the specs on it, and I thought, well, boy, it looks like a pretty good one for that kind of money. So, and sure enough, I think it is. Okay, so that's enough on that. That'll be coming out later. Progress was not made on the lawnmower, but I will tell you what I did do. I wanted to make sure I'm not being stubborn, because I can be stubborn. There's no doubt about that. I'm sure you've already figured that out. But so people keep bringing up the gas cap. And I thought, well, I know I've tested that. I know I have. I know for sure I have. But I thought, what the hell? I'll just test it again. So sure enough, I did. I went down there and I loosened the gas cap up a whole lot just to make sure it was really loose. I'm driving around, gas is actually sloshing out the top. So it cannot be airlocked, if you will. I mean, any time gas can come out of the cap, air can get in. So, you know, it died almost instantly. It didn't, you know, with the gas cap completely loose, it still died. So it's got nothing to do with the gas cap, which I had already checked out 2 or 3 times before. But I just wanted to make sure, because it would be my luck that maybe I didn't test it thoroughly enough or something. But it's not the gas cap. So then Leon, well, you know, and several of you mentioned other things, and which I'd have to take the engine apart further to get to most of those other things. And I'm not going to do that until I get the new carburetor in on Friday. So I'll check a lot of those other things you guys mentioned later. But if the carburetor and the new and that new little sensor, you know, built into the carburetor, if that doesn't seem to fix it, well, then I'll go further. And I'll probably pull the flywheel and look under the flywheel again. Although I pulled it once and didn't see any problems under there, but you never know. Maybe there's a condenser or something under there that I haven't thoroughly checked. Well, in the meantime, Leon sees the video yesterday about his guitar, and he is an electrical engineer. Now, when an electrical engineer says something about electronics, I take it serious. He's good at stuff like that. I mean, he worked for Boeing and, you know, anyway. So I thought, let me go look for what he's talking about. And he's talking about an ECM or an ECU. Now, I know what that is. Electronic control module or electronic control unit. Either one of those is the same basic thing, really. So I'm looking for that. I look all over that more, and I don't see that. But it makes sense that could cause the problem. It really does. But I have looked everywhere on that mower. I mean, I'm looking up underneath it doesn't really have a dash, but underneath where the buttons and controls are, I looked up underneath there and with a light and everything, and I don't see any kind of an ECU. Now, there are 3, forgot what I called them yesterday, relays. There's 3 relays in a cluster. That's the only thing I see that reminds me of any kind of an electronic extra thing on this thing, is those relays. And maybe they've got something to do with it, but if they do, I don't know how to check it, to be honest with you. So anyway, that's the only thing I found beyond the normal stuff. The sensor that's on the carburetor and those 3 relays are the only things that are out of the norm that I'm aware of. When I say out of the norm, that doesn't mean out of the norm in the modern terms. It means from my old school days. My old school days, those things are out of the norm. That's not the norm for me. But anyway, I haven't found anything else to really go hang my hat on, so I'm still waiting for the carburetor and all that on that, and I'll do that Friday. There you go. All right, so now we're back to Leon's guitar. So this morning I went down there and I thought, get the strings off of it where I can thoroughly inspect it better, tap on it better, all that. So here's a 13-minute plus video. Here's what I did. Okay, we're inside Leon's guitar. I'm going to try to show you what I can show you. There is the pad that I put in, and you can see it looks really good. These braces are really thin. There's no question that they're really thin. But upon close inspection, and keep in mind this is moving, it's really hard to show this very well. I don't see anything loose. I really don't. Like, the ends don't appear to be coming up down there. Down there, as you can see, there's the very end of it. Does not look like that brace is coming loose at all, from what I can tell. Yeah, I don't know. I can't figure out why this thing's doing what it's doing. I'm back up here around the pickguard area where it's coming loose, where it's showing signs of a problem. And those braces look good too, as far as I can tell.
Everything's kind of backwards here, so I'm moving as best I can, trust me. It's just, I just don't get it. Going on the other side behind the bridge where it's bulging up a lot, this is that area here. And again, I don't see anything that would indicate that there's a problem. Going over to this far brace over here. Hard to get this to move where I want it to move, honestly. I'm sorry, but it's just, you think it's awkward watching it, you ought to try moving this thing. Especially the fact that I've got the camera pointed at you and I'm upside down to it. So it's really difficult, but the best I can see, I don't see a loose thing anywhere. And this thing's pretty good image. I mean, it may not be translating across the camera very well, but it's a pretty darn good image on the screen, and you can see pretty good with it. So I just don't see where a problem is. It truly just, the only thing I can come up with is that this top might just be too thin. So my friends, I don't really know how to measure this very well, very accurately. I can tell you it does feel pretty thin top. Let's see if it's less than 100 thousandths. If it's less than 100 thousandths, that's probably where the problem is. I haven't used these calipers much, so I don't know how well they work, but I've got them zeroed out. Let me see if I can, well, here's a spot where I can get down to it. 0.1175, so what is that, 117 thousandths? That actually seems like that would be plenty thick. 116 thousandths. It's really hard to measure because there's little extra things around this. But that doesn't tell you how thick it is out here, you know. And out here it's pretty hard to measure that. You can feel the bulge in it right in here. You can just feel how the top is bulging up. But what I can't figure out is what's causing it. This bridge pad I put in here, I really thought that would stop it because it's a good quality, you know, Paduke bridge pad. I made it larger than standard. That typically just, when you sandwich that in there, that just typically stops the problem. It didn't stop it on this thing. I think I'm done. I don't know what else to do with this thing other than you'd have to make a whole new top. In all the years I've been doing it, this is the most complicated one I've ever seen. Wouldn't you know, it'd be my buddy's Leon's. Well, the very last thing I know how to test on this, and I just, because I don't see nothing wrong, is just to tap on it. I do hear just the faintest something. It's so faint that you can't hear it. I mean, you may think you're hearing it over this camera, but you're not. It's so faint, it's just like a little, just the least little noise you can imagine. It's the Martin guitar that just doesn't want to be a Martin guitar. I don't know. It's all I got. I don't know what else it is. I seriously don't know. I mean, if I knew, I'd fix it. You know I would. I guess I'm done. Sorry, Leon. Well, even though I don't know how to fix the quote-unquote problem, I can lower the action on this, so I'm going to do that. In fact, I've already done that. I've already cut 40 thousandths off this saddle. I've got it strung up, so let's check it again and let's see if we need to take some more off. It's probably pretty close by now. Yeah, it's still a little high. It's at 90. That's not bad though. 90's not bad. And this side, about 110. So if I took 20 more thousandths off of the saddle, it would be really good. And you know what I'm going to do? I don't know what strings are on here, but I'm going to put lights on here. These are old strings, I can tell anyway. Let me see if they're mediums or lights. No, these are mediums. They're 56. So I'm going to put lights on here. Leon won't like that exactly, but
if you want this guitar to play and stay where it's at, we're going to have to go to lights. That's the only other option I can come up with. And I'm going to go ahead and take another 20 thousandths off of this saddle. That'll drop it down 10 more thousandths here, and we're going to put lights on. And for people who don't get the 20 thousandths thing, see how tiny that is? That's 20 thousandths. That's almost nothing. I mean, it really is almost nothing. People think, they hear these things and they think big numbers, but they're not big numbers. If you divided an inch into 1,000 pieces and then take 20 of those pieces, that's what we're talking about here. Very difficult to be accurate taking only 20 thousandths off of this. So I've got little marks there. Those are 20 thousandths. I'm going to take that off. Well, I'm a bit out of practice putting strings on an instrument because I haven't been doing it every day for the last year and a half. But I'm going to show you my technique for putting the strings on. And it starts down here. I poke it through the hole, I push the pin in, and I pull up on this, and as I'm pushing the pin in, that pulls the little bead or the little keeper there, it pulls right up against the top. That's what you want. You can, and I probably will, just go ahead and do all of them at once. Get them all, all in here. That's the most efficient way to do it. These are Diodario phosphor bronze lights. I did take the additional 20 thousandths off of the saddle, so it should be 10 thousandths lower here. This is the important end. I wrap it around here, and you know, I only wrap it around like once and maybe 1.5 times like that. And then I go through the hole and I stay above the strings that I just wrapped. So in other words, I want this piece coming out above the string, above the wrappings that I just made. And that's all you have to do. And you just tighten it up and it will not slip, I promise you. Much faster. Now you can do that on the bass side. You cannot do that on the trebles. Well, you can, but you just have to wrap it more. I need to get this out of my way, so I just cut these off flush with the top of the post. That's how I do it, and it works for me. That way you don't have those things hanging around poking people and or making extra noise. Again, just pull it up tight, go around the post, and wrap it around there 1.5 times, come back over the top of those strings through the hole. Pull it up straight like that, cut it off right at the top of the post. And when I could see good, this was easy. So you go from the inside out and you pull it up and leave a little bit of slack, but not a whole lot. And you come back around like that under the string, and then pull this string up like that. And then when you start tightening this will tighten down the post, and it locks this piece in because you wrapped it around that. This way it cannot slip. And once again, leave a little bit of slack, but not a lot. Pull it up, go back like that. Then what I do is I hold this up like this, keep the tension on it until I get this tightened up. All right, now that we got it strung up, let's check the action one more time. I'd say that's perfect. Right on 80 on the treble. I would say 100 is honestly where it's probably at on the bass, and 100's fine. Leon's a hard picker, so you don't want to get it too low. I think that's just fine for Leon. Well, my friends, it's all tuned up and ready to go. The action is just fine on it. It's down to 80 to 100 here, which is pretty good. And the bulge is less noticeable. It's still there. But I think the only way to keep this guitar intact from this point on is to use light strings on it. Leon's from the old bluegrass school, and he probably isn't going to like that. But honestly, I don't think there's a problem with light strings anymore. There used to be. I agree, boy. The light strings used to be wimpy, but these are not wimpy anymore. I'm not even hitting that hard. That's just a normal stroke. That's pretty darn good. And if you give them a chance, light strings are good. And they're good for your guitar. It isn't much to look at. It's just an old house on the hill. A white picket fence around the yard, 2 dogs, 1 car and bills. And this Sunday will be 19 years that we've lived in this place. That's just 1 year short of 20, and we're moving on today. The year that we were married, we scraped and we saved to buy some little cottage where a family we could raise. Then we found this rundown farmhouse, a white picket fence and all. God blessed us with 3 children to run up and down its hall. But now they're tearing down our mansion to build $1 million homes. Oh, they'll sparkle and they'll glitter on foundations made of gold. It takes more than money, and it takes more than frills to turn that $1 million house into a mansion on the hill. Oh, it takes a lot of loving to build that mansion on the hill. Sang that in a little lower key than I normally sing it in because this throat and the lung infection. But anyway, that was a tune I wrote about all the houses that we lived in as a child. As I was a child, all of them are gone. They tore them all down and built big old fancy houses where those used to be. Well, honestly, I think the guitar is just fine like this. I hope it'll hold this way. The only hope it's got to hold, and I think, is to keep the light strings on it. If you put mediums back on there, it's just going to do the same thing. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. We all know what that means. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next video. I thought about putting that out as a separate video, but I'll probably just leave it in the vlog here. So, hope you enjoyed that. It's a little longer than my normal vlog video, but you can see there I've done a lot of looking at that guitar. I saw somebody's comment there that maybe it's a brace that's closing up when you take the strings off. Well, remember, yesterday's vlog showed me looking inside it, and I thoroughly inspected it yesterday inside it with the strings on it. So I took the strings off so that I could get in there even better and look around just to see if I'd see anything. And neither way, with the strings on or with the strings off, do I see any problem whatsoever. I don't see any problem. Usually I can spot a problem. I mean, geez, I've done this for 40 years, and usually I can spot a problem and usually spot it within 30 seconds. You know, it doesn't usually take me very long. I can look in there and go, there's a problem right there, you know, and bingo, I've got something to fix. Not the case here. Someone else I saw there says, are you okay with taking the top off of it? No, not at all. Taking the top off of a guitar, especially a guitar that doesn't appear to have any problem, other than the fact that it's got a problem, you know what I'm saying? I don't see anything to fix. If you were into car restoration, it's kind of like picking a car out of the weeds and going, here, why don't you just restore this car? I mean, look how much work that is. It's a ton of work. Well, it's the same way with taking the top off a guitar. It's a ton of work. It's not a little bit of work. It's a ton of work. And unless you know for sure you can fix something, why would you want to do that? So no, I'm not okay with taking the top off of it. I'm not trying to be a smart aleck or get get after somebody. I'm just trying to explain to you how complicated it is. It's hard to do. And I'll do it if I have to, but gee whiz, I don't think I could fix anything if I took it off. So what would I take it off for? So no, I got to see a problem before it warrants that kind of work. It's just a huge job to take a top or a back off, either one. A back, if you were going to do it, you'd take the back off. That would be the better way to go. But because if you take top off, you got to deal with the fretboard and the neck and all that stuff. Not to mention the fact that you look at the top more, and so the chances of making a blemish are way higher to take the top off. So it's better to put the blemishes on the back if you're going to make a blemish. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yeah, it is what it is, and it's just going to stay that way until I see something that I can fix, because I don't see anything. Sad but true. I mean, I just tell you like it is, guys. I don't sugarcoat nothing. You know that. On a different subject, Sue used the Wild Badger brush cutter this morning. She didn't use it very long, I don't think. Well, she cut all the way under a fence, I think, so she did use it quite a bit. And cutting the big, thick, heavy weeds and all that, she says it cuts like butter. She likes it. So it is heavy. It is big for her. She's not a big person. She's not tall, and so it was hanging down pretty low for her, and it's heavy. So, but she still liked it and still worked pretty well. We'll probably have to rig up the harness a little higher where it hangs a little higher on her. But anyway, just thought I'd let you know that it does work well. I saw, I'll get to these comments later, but I also saw, you know me and names, I can't think of names. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, Mark Nedzum. Gee whiz, Mark, sorry. He asked what kind of metal detector this is. I'll show it to you again here. It is let me get it in the camera there. Green Rex, Greenrex. They have a website. I'll be putting a link on my, I'll probably put that on the products I use page. Not because, in this case, it's a product that I'll be using all the time. It's because it's a product worthy of being used for what it is, for the money. For $160, that's a pretty darn good metal detector based on my 30 minutes of use yesterday. And I ran it around a lot in the 30 minutes there. I put it through pretty good pace, and I like it. For that kind of money, I like it a lot. Yeah. Well, anyway, it is what it is, but I like it for that kind of money. I don't think it will compare to my $1,000 metal detectors, but it compares really well just on its own right. And like I said, you could find a gold coin with it just as easy as you could find one with mine. You got to get over the top of it before you can find it. That's the problem with all metal detectors. If you don't swing over it, you won't find it. So let's move on to the comments. Joe looks like he was the first one in today. Stephen Pittinger. I don't remember that name, so Stephen, welcome. Good afternoon, Jerry and everyone. I sent you an email with a wiring diagram. Yeah, I got that. In fact, I got it right here. I replied to your email. I said, thank you. That'll probably come in handy. I looked at it again before I went out there to look for an ECM, and I don't see an ECM on here or anything. Well, of course, this is just for the engine. This is just a wiring diagram for the engine. The engine doesn't necessarily have an ECM. It says it's got a voltage regulator. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting diagram, but I don't know if it'll get to my problem or not. It might. You just never know. But right now, I'm just kind of putting that on hold till I get the new carburetor and sensor, because I might as well and just see what that does. If it fixes the problem, then I'm done. But if it doesn't fix it, well, then I'm still looking. And probably I'm still looking. But anyway, thank you, Stephen, for sending that to me. I appreciate it very much. David Tharp says, He says, "Hi, I'm David. I had my ID stolen, so I guess now I'm just Dave." That's funny. David, you're a mess. That's what the real problem is. You're just a mess. Let's see here. Moving on down, looking for the question marks primarily. Rod says, "Jerry, an idea for Leon's guitar. I hear that pouring a gallon of Elmer's glue inside is very effective." Yeah, for those of you who have no clue what he's talking about there, that was the guitar that I took out in Dodge City, Kansas. We got off stage. A guy walks up to me in the pitch black dark. I couldn't see nothing. I wouldn't be able to recognize that guy if my life depended on it, because it was that black dark. And he just told me what he had, and when I got it home, looked at it a few days later, it was full. It looked like it, honestly, and I don't think I'm exaggerating. I think somebody took a whole gallon, not a quart, not a small bottle, a whole gallon size wood glue, like Elmer's wood glue, poured it inside, and then just did that. The whole side was coated with about nearly a 1/4 inch thick of glue. Never seen anything like it in my whole life. Yeah, it's not easy being me. But I fixed it. And I don't want to tell the whole story. It's just a long story. Dottie Hildebrandt, prayers for all the Rosa group. Thank you, Dottie. David Thorpe, but don't forget the handful of popsicle sticks. On the inside. Yeah, well, there was a piece of baby bed rail. It was an actual piece of baby bed rail, about as long as you could get through the hole. Like an 1.5 inch square. Like maybe 3/4 inch wide, 1.5 inch tall, and had all the holes where the baby bed rail used to stick into it. And anyway, that was glued up inside it. I can't imagine what anybody would think that would help. I just can't. I can't imagine what the mindset is to make that you think that would help something. And he had a piece of paneling. It was a big triangular piece of paneling. I'm trying to get the triangle about the right size. It's about that size right there. If you drew a line across the top there, it's huge. Just barely would fit through the sound hole. I don't know. Have no idea. I can't even begin to wonder why they would do that. See, David Tharp, but I'm told an odd piece of wall paneling works. Okay, there you go. So that was the other part. Ronald Todd, Jerry, after doing a little research, I found out the issue with your Kawasaki is a common one that the dealerships run away from. However, some people live with it. Some people have changed. That one's going over my head. Whatever you're getting at there. That one there, I don't get it at all. But I do know there's several common problems with those engines. They're not bad problems. They're just common. One of them is that cleaning the carburetor. It must be very difficult to clean. Apparently, according to lots of people, they instead of cleaning them, they just put a new one on. Well, I've got a new one coming just in case. I don't think it's a carburetor problem. I really don't, because it runs so darn good for 15 minutes. Runs good. Doesn't run okay. Runs good. So I don't think it's a carburetor problem. I really think it's probably a sensor problem. If it is anything in the carburetor, I think it's that sensor. So that's why I ordered the carburetor with the sensor. And the reason I didn't order just the sensors, I couldn't find one that matched the old one I have. My sensor's older because it's an old machine, and they don't seem to sell that particular sensor anymore, at least not that I could find. And so I thought, rather than rewiring up a sensor, which I wouldn't know if I got it right or not, I thought I'll just order the carburetor and the sensor because it wasn't much more anyway. So there you go. David Tharp. Hey, Jerry, your luck is like the bald guy who entered a contest and only won a brush and comb set. There's Mark Nedsom. Good day, everyone. I actually feel pretty good today. The pain is subsiding, and I'm actually out of and about with Yolanda for my birthday. Well, awesome, and happy birthday. And if I could sing today, I'd sing happy birthday to you, but I can't. Yeah, it's just not good. I'll be singing tonight, though, in those lessons, so bear with it, but at least we'll get the lesson done, and you'll understand the lesson, not so much the singing. You'll understand what I mean with the lesson, I think. Moving on down, let's see. And Mark turned the big 60 today, it says. Well, happy birthday, big 60. I'll be turning the big 70 in November. Yeah, I just can't believe that. This just doesn't make sense. Like I said, if I didn't have to look in a mirror, I'd still think I was in my maybe early 30s at the oldest, at the very oldest. I think I was in my early 30s if I didn't have to look in a mirror and see that old guy looking back. David Tharp, I remember being 60 back then. I could get up with only one attempt without making sound effects. I can relate to that to some degree because of the arthritis mostly. Mark Nedsom again. Hi, Jerry. Are you able to cut out pistol grips for, say, a 357 Colt Python? Well, I guess I could. I'm kind of overwhelmed with work. Are you talking about with the laser cutter? Yeah, I mean, if we had a pattern, I could cut them out with a laser cutter, and I don't know what you'd cut them out of. Are you talking about cutting them out of wood? Can't cut them out of metal. Cut them out of wood or plastic or bone, possibly bone. I don't know about bone. Yeah, and then he goes on to say on the laser cutter. Yeah, I probably could. Christian Mendez, what's the best pickup for an acoustic guitar stuck between the LR bags and the K&K? Well, Christian, I tell you, I would say go with the LR bags. And I don't think that's going to surprise anybody that's been watching my vlogs because I've talked about LR bags every time. I really like LR bags pickups. I don't think you can do better than them. I truly don't. I've seen lots of other ones, and lots of people swear by other kinds, and they're okay. You know, I'm not saying they're bad. LR bags are not. They're not average. They're good. They usually make your instrument sound as good as it can sound or better. I mean, I really like them. Ronald Todd, welder is $79.99 on the Jungle Store, and that's for the McPow. Probably is. It wouldn't surprise me that it would be that cheap. I like it for a stick welder. I like it. Now, is it for welding? Bulldozers back together? No, it's not for that. But it's good for welding your average stuff that breaks around the house or the average stuff that is in your average home garage. It's perfect for that. And I wouldn't be afraid to weld anything with that McPow up to 3/8 of an inch thick. I don't think it'd be any problem at all, 3/8 of an inch thick or less. Maybe even full 1/2 inch thick. I don't even think you could have a problem with a 1/2 inch. If you took your time with it, I think a 1/2 inch welding would be perfectly fine. So, I mean, it's a good welder for what it is. It's just a little tiny box and it welds. It's pretty cool. And especially for that kind of money. It's kind of like this metal detector. For the kind of money you're talking about, kind of hard to beat the darn thing, really. Especially for the kind of money. Now, if you're talking $1,000, that's a different category, But in the category we're talking about, these are pretty good. Both of these things. Bill Webb, good afternoon, Jerry and friends. Well, there you go. You put me first for a change. Let's see. Wavy Gravy. A blind guy walks into Walmart. He picks up his seeing-eyed dog by the tail and starts waving it over his head. The manager says, May I help you? And the guy says, no, I'm just looking around. I wonder what the dog thought. Let's see. Moving here. Ronald Todd, to check the relays, just swap them around and see what happens. It's not a bad idea. Good idea, Ron. I'll maybe try that. And I say maybe try it. I will try it if the carburetor thing don't fix it, you know. I'm going to wait on the carburetor thing because I'm still holding out some hope that that could be the problem. I mean, it's possible. I just don't think it will be, but it might be. Steve Mays, you can't hurt my feelings. I used to bring the wrong tools to my dad. Let's see. Mark Nedsom, what kind of metal detector? Well, we've talked about that. That's that green Rex. It's a good little metal detector for the money. I don't think you could go wrong for the money. Understand, we're talking about for the kind of price. And I'm not diminishing what it can do. It can, like I said, you can find a gold coin with that sucker just as easy as you can find one with mine. You got to get over the top of it first. That's the problem with finding a gold coin. I've never found one, by the way. But I still keep looking. Bill Rhodes, Jerry, I would look for it under the flywheel. For the ECM, I guess. I doubt it. I would seriously doubt they'd put one under a flywheel. But you never know. I'm not saying it isn't possible. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to put it there. But I will look there, and I will look. The reason I want to go under the flywheel anyway, if this doesn't fix the problem, is that I want to look and see if there's like a condenser or something in there, you know, some other thing that could be replaced. And if there is, I'll replace it. And if this doesn't fix it. Bill Rhodes, are you okay with removing the top? That was what I talked about on the guitar. And no, I'm not okay with removing the top. Let's see. Simon was the one that asked about maybe the brace is going to close after you take the strings off of it. Well, like I said, I did check it both ways, and I saw no problem. And I looked at every brace in there with strings on and with strings off, and I didn't see a problem. Plus, I don't care if it does close up. 99 times out of 100, I'm going to hear it when I tap on it. I don't care if it's closed, open, or what. You can always hear a broken brace. Or I shouldn't say always, because who knows right now, maybe I can't. But I'm just saying I've never had a problem finding a broken brace or a broken part or a loose part by tapping. When you tap on them, it makes them make a noise. And if you know what you're listening for, you'll know what that is. And I don't hear that on Leon's. Just don't hear it. So I don't think there's anything loose or broken in there. I really don't. If I did, I'd be in there. Jacob's Leisure Piano Channel. I hadn't seen that name before either. Glad to see you here. Great video. Singing guitar repair once in a while from you would be nice still. Yeah, well, you'll see them every once in a while, but it'll be once in a while. Kenneth Ennis, beautiful song. Way to go, Jerry. Well, thank you. Ronald Todd, good fix on Leon's guitar. Light strings are all I use on my Martin and the rest of them. Yeah, I think light strings are the way to go these days. I truly believe it. I didn't used to think so. And in fact, back years ago, I'm talking 80s, you put light strings on them and you could tell you had light strings on your guitar. I can't tell the difference anymore. I seriously can't. I believe what you want. I don't see it. In a blind test, I wouldn't be able to tell you, are those lights or are they mediums when you play it? I wouldn't be able to tell. And that's the way I feel like on his guitar right now. That sounds full. It doesn't sound wimpy, doesn't sound tinny. It sounds full. So to me, go with lights. That's just me. Simon Jardine, is a glued-in internal prop support top to back an option, Jerry? Well, I don't know. I don't know that I know what you really mean for sure, but typically you just don't glue extra stuff in a guitar. I mean, you just don't. That's that little saying I had back when Caleb was in here. Just resist the urge to glue random pieces of wood inside your guitar. Just resist it. No matter what, just resist it. Because I found yardsticks in there, popsicle sticks, toothpicks, I'm sure other things I can't remember right now, but I've seen all kinds of stuff glued up inside guitars, and why people think that's going to help, I have no idea. No idea, zero, none, not any. Have no idea why they think that'll help. Dumb, really dumb. Let's see. Ronald Todd says, thumbs up, everybody. Thank you. Let's see. I skipped something somewhere. Bill Rhodes, you're right here. I agree. I didn't know what it would entail. Larry Adkins, you said you think the mower has a vowel problem. Could be a you, can't be. I sort of kind of get what you're getting at there, but I'm not a good reader. Ronald Todd, Jerry, go back up to part 2 on my comment. Chat cut me off. Part 2 on my comment. I don't know. I can't find part 1, let alone part 2 at this point. Sorry. I'm looking, but I don't see it. So I'm not good at this. All right, moving on. Let's see. Jeff Purist, are the relays the common little square 4-pole? Yeah, and I've worked on those before, and I've tested them before. But it's been a long time ago, or I say a long time ago. It was a year or two ago, a couple years ago, and I don't remember when or why. And they all tested okay or whatever, or maybe I think I found a bad relay once before. Not necessarily on this machine. I just remember doing it. So I kind of know how to go about testing them. I just haven't gone to that level yet. I will go to that level if this new carburetor and things don't fix it. Yeah, and Jeff says those are cheap to replace, and I sure they are. And maybe that's the next thing I'll replace. I just don't know at this point. It just seems like it's such a simple problem, and I just haven't found it. I bet you, like I said, the one thing I would almost guarantee I'd bet anybody $1,000 is that whenever we find what this stupid problem is, I'll bet $1,000, if anybody wants to take me up on it, that the cost to fix whatever the problem is under $50. I'd bet $1,000 on that. That's why I know it's not a big deal. It's just finding it is the problem. I know it's going to be simple. I just can't figure it out yet. Captain Bubba, will the laser cutter cut checkering pistol grips? Will Vevor send you their large 3D CNC router machine to test? Well, I don't know. The guy from Vevor, he seems to be kind of tight. Like he doesn't want to. Don't get me wrong. He sent me some nice stuff. I've got some good stuff. But like I'll ask for a particular thing. Like he'll give me a list of stuff, and so I'll ask for one of the more expensive items, and he go, "Well, we don't have that on our giveaway right now," or whatever. Every time seems like so. I doubt it. I doubt they'll send me a 3D CNC router, but you never know. And as far as cutting the checkering on a pistol grip, I don't think the laser cutter would do a very good job on it because the laser cutter, first of all, can't cut like a diamond. It can't cut on an angle like this. I mean, if you tipped it up, I guess you could, but it'd be a heck of a job trying to line all that up. So I would say no would be the answer. And then, but it could etch it. You know what I'm saying? It can etch down in like wood and stuff, like I used to do with the laser cutter when I was doing my inlay. I would have it burn out a cavity, and then I would inlay into that cavity. It can kind of do that. So that's about as good as it can do, though. Simon says, I'd be leery of cutting bone on the laser cutter, Jerry. Burning bone stinks and turn your stomach sinks. Yeah, I know that for sure. Nobody knows about bone any better than I do. Think of the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of deer antler saddles I've made, and all of those stunk to high heaven when you start grinding them because they all burn. They all burn. So yeah, I've done that so much that I wouldn't even notice it. And besides that, the laser cutter has an exhaust fan, and it exhausts it outside, so you wouldn't smell it nearly as much as working on them firsthand like I used to do. Bill Rhodes, you're the reason why I mentioned taking the top off. You're the reason. I don't get that one either. Sorry, Bill. I just don't get it. I don't know. I don't know if I just don't read right or what my problem is. Let's see. Ronald Todd, part two was that people are using oversized fuel filters and the O-rings in the carb is swollen because of the ethanol fuel use. Replace the O-rings. Well, to my knowledge, I don't think there's an O-ring in that carburetor. I mean, I took it completely apart. I mean, like completely apart. Every part that, even the parts that weren't really supposed to come apart that were pressed together, I pushed them apart and took it apart. And I didn't see an O-ring one in that carburetor anywhere. So I don't think it's that. Now, ethanol fuel can cause a problem, but I don't think it'll cause the problem I'm experiencing. I just don't think it will. You could correct me where I'm wrong. I mean, I'm not arguing with you. That's not my point. My point is, in my logical brain, and everything I think about is common sense and logic, everything. You can't throw anything at me where I don't instantly go to the common sense logic aspect of everything. And I think, how could ethanol cause the problem I'm having? I mean, where it'll run fine for 15 minutes, then die, and then you can start it right back up, and it'll run fine for maybe another 30 or 40 seconds, and then it'll die, and it'll run fine for another 30 or 40 seconds. I don't see how ethanol would cause that. So that's just me. If you can beyond that and explain how it could cause it, well, then I'm easily convinced once I understand the common sense of it. But I got to understand the common sense of it, because that doesn't make sense to me right now. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm not picking on you. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just, in fact, I would agree with you if you could point out further how that could happen. But I can't see it in my own mind how that could happen. Bill Mumbo says, Eric, wash your mouth out with laminated top. Well, anyway, guys, we've made some progress since yesterday, but the darn lawn tractor's still a pain. And Leon's guitar is done, as far as I'm concerned. It's as much as I can do for now. It's easily playable the way it is, and there's still room on the saddle to go down more if we have to. The good thing about lowering the saddle is that reduces some of the pressure on the top itself, and then the light strings also help reduce the pressure. So both of those things combined might be enough to keep it going for quite a while. I just supposing, maybe, hopefully. We will see tomorrow. Well, no, we're going to see you tonight on the lesson, and we'll see you tomorrow with something else. Thank you, guys. We'll see you then.